Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint this picture of some autumn leaves on water. I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's now in chat during our live show tonight. So if you have questions, you can ask those and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, so I'm using a 9 by 12 inch canvas panel. This is the Belgian linen canvas board from Fredrix. Really like them. They're kind of low tack, low texture boards. I've got my, what? Oh, yeah, I'm just thinking. I'm going to try using some mop brushes today. If you don't have these, that's fine, but I decided to kind of pull out the mop brushes for some of the water. Sometimes it looks a little bit better for some of the blending techniques. So I've got a number 1 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch mops. These are oval mops from Princeton. I've got my number 8 and number 6 Filbert from the 6100 series in Princeton. And then I've got a couple of Deerfoot Stippler and round blender here in number 12 and 5/8 inch size. So we're going to kind of use these variety of these brushes to do some of the blendy water in the background. And so if you don't have all these brushes, that's fine. We'll kind of be using all of them, and I'll show you different ways of doing the blending. For the details in the leaves, we're going to need like an angle brushes. I've got a 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch angle shaders. These red handled ones are the Velvet Touchline in Princeton's repertoire brushes there. Willow's blender for some of the freckling and things on the leaves. And then for some of the water ripples, I've got a number 4 round and number 6 Filbert. And for the lines in the leaves themselves, I've got just a variety of different short rounds. So number 1 round, 18-aught short liner, and a 2-aught script liner. So I may not use all of these brushes, but I just kind of pulled out the ones that I thought I might need. And then I've got a fan brush to do a little bit of the speckling on the leaves as well. So do a little bit of splatter, not a lot, but we'll have a little. So let's go over colors. So thank you to Princeton and Fredrix. There are 2 sponsors for canvases and brushes. They're awesome to work with. We love their products. And there's a link down in the description to the brush guides to buy brushes and to Amazon to buy canvases and things. Our colors are, we've got just kind of a rainbow color. So it's a lot of colors. Don't get intimidated by that. If you don't have all of these, just use what you've got that's similar. I'm just putting out a variety of yellows and reds. So this is burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, yellow oxide, Indian yellow hue, cadmium yellow medium and light, phthalo green and phthalo blue, cobalt teal, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad Red Medium, Light, and Orange. And then this is Cadmium Orange I meant, so hopefully you got that. This is Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and Zinc White. The Zinc White will be for the kind of transparent look on the water. And then this is the gloss glazing liquid for that. All right, so to draw it, I've already kind of drawn mine out, so I wanted to just go over really quick with you how I did the drawing on it, and I'm just going to do it on paper. Basically, the smaller leaves are obviously just heart shapes, so those ones were really easy. They're kind of just a flattened out heart, kind of narrow, and they've got little jaggedy edges, so kind of just do little zigzaggy lines, and then you kind of bring it in like this, and then to a little point. So they're pretty, like I said, pretty easy. And then their veins do a symmetrical pattern. So they go across from each other like that and up like that. So pretty easy on those. Then the maple leaves are really actually pretty fun to draw. They are just a long line. So you kind of do a line, and you can do them kind of curved if you want to. Long line, however long you want your leaf, but kind of think about the sizing. The halfway mark is going to be the size of your leaf. So this will be all be stem, and I'm going to just kind of give it kind of a squared off end there. So that's going to be the end. And so find your halfway mark right there. That'll be kind of where our veins start coming out. And so this is our main vein. Then I'm going to have two that come out almost parallel. They're just going to come out just a little bit above and curve up and out just a little bit. And then
perpendicular.
Did I say parallel?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Perpendicular. Yes, thank you, Mr. Math. And then you're going to have them.
All technical on you, sorry.
Thank you. No, I'm glad you said that because I didn't realize I'd said that. And then these two are going to come bisected. So you're going to have 5 lines here when you get done. And then this top one is going to be your main leaf section. So you're going to kind of do these 2 little outer thingamabobs like that. Bring it to a sharp point. And depending on the kind of maple, some of them are going to do like a dip and come up. They're not symmetrical. So these are really easy to draw. So you don't have to worry about them being exactly the same on both sides. So that gives you a lot of freedom with these drawings. They're all kind of different. So each one of these is going to be the center of our little point of our leaf. So these two are almost the same height. Well, these two are the same height, but this one in the middle is just slightly higher. But these two come out really far. They come, they're pretty tall there. And so I'm going to bring these out as well. And some of these come way out. So these ones on our leaf are coming way out before they make their little point. And then they're going to come in and kind of do a little oval right here. And then, or like a little rounded section, not oval, but you got what I meant, hopefully. Like that. Okay. And then, this part shouldn't come down past the halfway mark on here. So they should be a little higher than the halfway mark on your line here. So that'll kind of keep you knowing sort of where to go. And then this one is going to be kind of at a diagonal here and here. So it's not going to go much past right there. And then this almost makes a box here. This comes out just a little bit farther. So if you were to do a rectangle around this leaf, this one is going to come out just a little bit farther than that squared off. So, and this is going to come out like that. And it's also going to come down and kind of zigzag out right there. And then it's got one more little one right here that comes out like that. And so there's another little line right here. So if you want to do that, you can. But there's another little tiny baby one right here. And then curves up like that. And then like I said, these are not symmetrical. So each one of these veins is going to be opposite. They're not going to be touching like this one. They're matching. These ones are going to be the opposite of that. They're going to be every other kind of thing, like that. And they're going to go up to these points here. So you're going to have a vein on each of these little points that happen. Like that. So just make sure they're not like across from each other when you do it. And you can do all kinds of little fun little wiggles and things. These all kind of have really interesting borders and edges. Like that. And there's 2 of these. The one's a little bit smaller and it just kind of overlaps just a little bit here, and then you've got the other. So you can really All right, I think we're back. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little technical thing. We had to reset our router there. So hopefully, what part did they not get? Any of it? Is it pretty much all?
The drawing was
drawing
jittery, but
was jittery? Okay.
let's just start here.
Okay. All right. We'll just keep on going here. All right. The traceable is available on Patreon. So if you didn't catch the drawing part, I'm sorry. But I'm going to go ahead and start painting here. I'm not sure exactly what recorded and didn't. So don't you love the internet? It's all great until it doesn't work. And then fortunately, we have fairly decent service here. We don't have issues all that often, but when we do, it definitely throws a wrench in things. All right, so there's kind of some dark leaves underneath. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. I'm just going to indicate it. I'm not going to do the whole background with leaves because that would just take forever. But I am going to kind of just put a few little indications of some of this color in here in some places. And this is just ultramarine blue, or not, sorry. This is burnt umber and yellow oxide. And so I'm just going to dab some of that in there. Really, I should have put a little bit of glazing liquid in there because if you add too much water to your heavy body acrylics, they won't stick. So I'm just going back in here with a little bit of this glazing liquid over this because I thinned it out quite a bit. So, all right. How are we doing, hon? Going good?
Yep.
All right. So we should have done that before the show, sadly.
I haven't had to do that in a long time.
Yeah, I know. All right, I'm going to get phthalo blue and some burnt umber and some purple here. I'm going to use some I'm going to go around some of my leaves here and just in different places adding some dark little bits of color for our darker areas of our leaves. What are we having problems again?
No. Oh, sorry. Like, oh, that looks nice. I finally got to actually look at the video.
Oh, okay.
It's like, wow, that's pretty good.
Okay. It sounded like you were like, oh no.
Now everything is bad.
Everything's
Every sound was
bad.
like, what?
I know.
What's that noise?
It does kind of throw me off my flow when I
It's a Bigfoot.
have problems with the internet. So using phthalo blue and a little bit of the cobalt teal here, and I'm just going lightly over and around my areas here, and I'm just going to fill in with the rest of this with this color, and just leaving some of this purple and yellow, going over the yellow just a little bit, but not covering it completely. I'm going to go around my leaves fairly carefully, but try to kind of blend those in so that they don't look like they've got a halo of color around them. It was a catch-22. Like, when doing these kind of paintings, like, I could have done the whole background with the blue and it would have been a lot easier, but then I probably would have wanted to cover my leaves up with white just so that I could get a good, really vivid color out of them. Because if you try to go over, do a really bright color, like these leaves are so vivid, reds and yellows, yellows especially, they just don't do all that well when they don't cover other colors very well. So we could have had problems with it. So it's just easier to paint around them, and that way we will have the bright vivid yellows and reds. Does make this part a little bit slower because we have to be a little bit more careful about going around our leaves and things. And this first layer is just really kind of just background of the leaves. It's not really going to be our finish. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of ultramarine blue here too. Mix that in with my burnt umber and do that in a few places.
So hello everybody, welcome.
Yes.
To the
weird
to the good part of the show here.
A little odd start there.
Yeah, I hope everybody had a safe Halloween and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
It was cold here.
It was
Really cold. We usually like to sit outside and pass out candy because we have so many kids that come in our neighborhood, but this year Mark just pretty much did. I helped a little bit, but he had a mask that he was wanting to wear, so he liked to scare the kids.
Angela didn't wear her mask.
He kept telling the kids that he was every time they'd come to the door, he'd go, "Oh, thank you. Can I have some of that?" And he'd like try to take their candy. That was Mark's.
They say trick or treat. I said, okay, I'll have some candy.
I'll have a treat.
And they're like, no.
No. Like one of the boys goes, "I need it." It was awesome.
Yeah.
So we may not have as many trick-or-treaters next year. They remember the mean guy trying to take their candy. The weird guy in the mask.
So on the colors that you mixed up there for the blues, what are you?
I'm just doing a variety of blues and brown and purple. So I've got pretty much all the blues that I'm kind of dabbling in here. This one is ultramarine. I think I've got ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, and cobalt teal here in varying degrees. And I'm just going around my leaves here, trying to still keep them fairly loose looking, so not trying to, I really need a smaller brush for this, but just being lazy, I don't want to have to change it out. And we will be going around these leaves more carefully with, more detailed colors and things, but for now we're just kind of laying in some background colors and pretty dark. I'm going pretty dark here.
And then on the browns that you laid down first, what was that?
That was phthalo, or that was burnt umber and yellow oxide.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to give it hints of yellow underneath. It doesn't really, I'm going to go ahead and grab some of that actually and do some up here. Do some like green looking water. We'll have lots of other colors going on in here too over the top, but this will just be our ugly layer. This does not have to look pretty, so don't worry too much about how it looks right now. Just kind of slap that paint on there.
No worries over here.
You're not worried? Okay.
No, I am not worried at all.
Good.
Might be panicking, but...
You might be panicking?
So
well, good. At least our internet's working again.
Your new newsletter went out yesterday?
It did, and we've released our special free bonus video. So if you want to be part of our newsletter and sign up for that free bonus video, you can do that on my website, thankfulart.com. It's got a full page thing. It's pretty much like you can X out of it. You don't have to sign up, but pretty much if you visit the website, it's going to open up to that page asking you to sign up for the newsletter. So it's pretty aggressive. Probably going to have to lower to just like a smaller box.
Nobody expects a man or a duck.
I know. It's like, boom. It just opens up full page. But yeah. So, and if you've already signed up for it, the newsletter had the link, so you don't have to sign up again. Just, this is just for folks who haven't signed up. It's just kind of a way for us to get in contact with those people who are interested in following our videos and things and get a free video out of it. And that way we can kind of let you know what we're doing week to week. And I know everybody gets a million emails. I swear we don't spam you. We just once a week send out one that just tells you what we're going to do that week. And, has different giveaways every now and then, special things that links to my Amazon store for music and books and things. So
I mean, how
fun stuff.
How did
things I don't do other places on the internet. What?
I'm just wondering, how did an incredible canned meat product become something for bad email? I don't understand it.
I don't know. Yeah, that is kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to know how that became known to be called spam.
Spam?
Could be. Sorry about that. Did you catch it in time?
Oh, yeah.
Good. My coughing fit there. All right. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush so I can get her around these little bits here. I'm going to grab my 6 Filbert. It's funny. This one is the 6 Filbert in this line. So the numbers really don't mean anything. You kind of have to know sort of the sizing. This one's probably 1/4 inch, I guess. Something like that. I'm just going to get some of this dark color and go more carefully around the outside of this leaf here.
Okay, somebody's asked a question. Mm-hmm. They would like to know that instead of yellow oxide, can they use cad yellow or lemon yellow?
Those are a lot brighter than yellow oxide. Yellow oxide's kind of a brownish yellow. So if you've got yellow ochre, that would be a appropriate substitute. Or you could just add brown to your yellow. Probably if you added a little bit of burnt umber or something to your yellow, you'd probably get your cad yellow or whatever. You'd probably get something close enough, that would work.
So is there no such thing as burnt lemons?
Burnt lemons? I don't think so.
Okay. We need to ask that paint to be made. I mean, they burn everything. Might as well burn lemon.
I know. All right. I think that's good enough. And this has gone on pretty, you can see how water got on there, lifted right off there. That's why you don't want to add too much water to your paint, because it'll do the same thing. It won't stick to the canvas. So just going back over that with thicker paint there, make it stick. And yeah, just gonna let that set. So while that's drying, we'll go ahead and work on our basing in our leaves. I thought about making a video, and I don't know if this would be helpful for anybody, so leave a comment if you think this would be something you would like to see. But I thought it might be good to do a video that is just about different terms in acrylics, because I throw out all these terms, dry brushing and base coating and washing and glazing and all these different, acrylic painting terminology. And sometimes I don't really think about the fact that somebody might not know what that means, unless I stop to explain it. So anyhow, if that's something you think that might be interesting, you'd like to see a video on that, let me know in the comments and I might...
Oh, yeah, especially terms like smushing.
Yeah,
things like
the ones that I come up with on my own.
The more advanced terms.
Right. Made up ones. I'm going to use the Cadmium Yellow Light, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill in my lightest leaves with this. I used a watercolor pencil to draw these ones in, so it's a water soluble. So it's going to kind of dissolve a little bit. That blue is going to dissolve a little bit. But not too bad. Still.
We're getting a bunch of yeses.
Yes? Okay. Yeah, I don't have a lot of videos that are like, just instructional on basics. So I thought it might be good to have kind of a basic acrylic. Just do one a live show one day and just actually take questions and do just basic demonstrations of different techniques and color mixing. And I don't know, we'd have to have a series of them because there's so much that you could go over, but we could maybe do a new series next year or something, like on Tuesday nights, maybe do those Tuesday night ones and just have them be like basic acrylic painting techniques, info, Q&A kind of stuff. I don't know. So this one I'm adding a little bit more of the cadmium yellow medium because it's got a little bit more of that color into it. And I'm not really, it's not going to go on perfectly yet because we got a lot of stuff going on in that outside edge, so I'm probably going to have to add some white to it to get it to cover up that. I didn't leave that jagged edge on my leaf around the water there. I kind of lost that when I put in that blue, so we'll have to put it back in later. But you can see how much more vivid that is. If we tried to go over that blue, it wouldn't be nearly as bright. It'd be a lot dull, more dulled. So, all right, let's get some of the Indian yellow and yellow oxide, and I haven't cleaned out my brush, so it's still got these other colors in it. And we're going to do this one. This leaf is actually underwater, so it's a little bit darker. I really kind of lost the shape of it when I filled it in. So to cover up that dark area, I'm going to get some of this unbleached titanium. And that's opaque, so it will cover a little bit better on my, over that black dark area that covered that leaf. And that's just my fault. I should have been a little more careful when I went around it. Shush.
I'm glad you're taking all the blame on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know it wasn't my fault.
Wasn't you that did it?
I was busy measuring my beard.
Are you serious? You're measuring your beard?
Yeah, I wanted to see where it was. We're just shy of 30 inches.
I would have said 4. It's big. I'm surprised. There's kind of a leaf underwater here. Alrighty, let's go ahead and keep on going. So I'm going to do the Indian yellow and cadmium yellow together for this middle part of this leaf. It's got a lot of yellow. That Indian yellow is just a more golden yellow tone. Actually, I think I'm just going to do the whole thing with this because that'll give us a base for that red to go on top. It'll cover nicely. And I'm going to get a little bit of white. The titanium white. It's going to be your most opaque color. So if you need to cover over another color, it's the one to grab. I just need to cover over right there. I kind of lost the little tips of these leaves. So the reason I'm doing the yellow is because if you look really closely at the picture, there's a lot of yellow in between in this leaf. It's red, but it's got a lot of yellow undertones, and it'll be easier to put the red on top of this and create those undertones than to cover over the red with yellow. It wouldn't be as bright underneath. So this way, kind of like what we're doing with the yellow leaves, it's just going to give us a more vivid color on our leaf. How you doing, hon?
I'm doing great.
How's everybody else doing?
They're
Internet land.
doing well, I think.
Good. Good deal. Thanks for joining us today.
Just glad we don't really live in Michigan this time of year.
No.
They said that they got 4 inches of snow for Halloween.
What? For
Yeah,
Halloween?
Yeah, so I think that's a
Oh
trick.
my gosh.
That's definitely a trick, not
Definitely
a
a trick. Wow. So they probably didn't get a whole lot of trick-or-treaters, that's what you're saying. Or would they just die hard like the ones that came out in the rain last year?
treat. I think they were in skis and stuff.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
I understand.
I mean, it's candy after all.
I'm pretty much that way about candy myself, so I get it. I did ask Liberace if he had chocolate candy when we trick-or-treated at his house. I was probably 8 years old. We lived in Palm Springs. That's where I grew up. And I didn't really know who he was at all. My mom was just like, we always kind of went by his house to see, but he happened to be there that year passing out candy, and he had it in like crystal bowls. It was hilarious. He had like these long tables set up with tablecloths. Like, it was very elegant. Just like you would expect, him, and he had two people on either side of him, and he was in the middle there, and there were these, crystal bowls out in front, and he of course had all the rings and everything. He was all decked out. Like I said, I didn't know who he was. Mom, the way my mom was acting, though, I knew he was, somebody special. And I was dressed up like in one of my cousin's dance outfits. So I had like a top hat and cane and little tap shoe kind of thing, looked like an entertainer. And I hadn't danced a day in my life. Like, I didn't know a thing about it. I just, was wearing it because my cousin gave it to me to wear. Anyhow, so walked up there and checked, and there were hard candies. They were the little round hard candies with the little twisty tie plastic wrap over them. I was like, and I was looking and kind of looked at all the different bowls, and he was like, "Hey, are you an entertainer?" And I said, no. And then I go, and then I said, "Do you have any chocolate?" I was so into that.
Excuse me, but...
Exactly. Like, where's the chocolate? Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? I still like it. And
what
he's
did he
like,
say?
"No, I'm sorry." Yeah. "No, I'm sorry, sweetie." And he was really nice to me, but like, yeah. Hopefully I'm a little bit more tactful now.
You never lived that down.
I know.
Man.
I know. Oh, so funny. Where's the chocolate?
And the next year, he probably had chocolate and you didn't go to his house, did you?
I'm pretty sure I didn't. Yeah.
Exactly. See?
That's the only year that we went to the good neighborhoods when we would trick or treat. This is the reds here. I've got the Cadmium Red and the Quinacridone Magenta here. I'm going to use on this leaf. Yeah, so we would go to the wealthy neighborhoods. We were not wealthy. It's not not easy growing up in a town like that when you're not wealthy. Let me just say that. Yeah. So when I tell people we grew up in Palm Springs, they're like always like impressed. And I'm like, no, it was not fun. Like, I did not have the cute hair bows in the yeah. But yeah, so we would always go into that neighborhood where all the big houses were to get. Sometimes we'd get full-size candy bars. It's pretty awesome.
I don't have any memories like that.
Oh, you know,
No, nobody famous.
it's one of my claim to fame. I met him and I met Pat Boone. He sang at our church. That's about it. I saw a few famous celebrities in cars, but touched Michael Jackson's hand, which now I probably is not as exciting as it was then. But
It's kind of creepy.
yeah, kind of creepy now. All right, back to the show here. Sorry. I'm going to use some yellow and add that in this area. I did the rest of this one red because it was 90% red. It's just had just little traces of yellow, not like this one. And I'm just adding white when I needed to get it to cover over the background there. Good. The water needs some work. The leaves are coming along pretty good. Here, this is one of those that's gonna, it's gonna have some rough stages. It's not gonna look all that exciting right at first. So you just kind of have to trust the process to get you there.
I always think that you're speaking about me during these videos.
You in the ugly stage? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, just look over our relationship. You're like, yeah, there's some rough parts at first.
You just gotta trust the process.
Trust the process. You have to
I'm
know
still working on him.
how to cover up the mistakes, fix things.
You're perfect, honey.
I'll know when you sign me that I'm still not completely done yet.
I signed you a long time ago.
Okay. You keep stepping back and looking, going, no, need to fix that.
Maybe that's where I got it from. All right, grabbing some burnt sienna here. Just going to use it with this red here and just go over this leaf that's in the water. He's kind of darker. Giving him some, getting some of that yellow oxide there. Okay. Pretty good. All right, so let's start working on our water. Fingers crossed we'll get this looking. It's still a little bit tacky in some places, so we'll just have to kind of go slowly and see. Make sure we're not lifting off anything that we put on here. But I'm going to grab the medium size mop one, the 3/4 inch one. And I'm going to mix up some of the Phthalo blue and burnt sienna together. That's going to make a really nice deep teal color. I can add a little tiny bit of green to it to make it a little bit brighter teal. And then I'm going to use the cadmium or the cobalt teal here. And my zinc white. Create kind of a pretty transparent sky color here. So I've got the other colors on my brush. My brush is pretty juicy here with paint. And I'm going to use a little bit of, you like it when I...
That'll be explained in the technical term video.
Well, you can tell what it means, surely. It's got a lot of paint on it. Alright, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab some of that zinc white and blend that in. So what we're seeing is just some kind of like reflections on the water in here. And I'm going to grab some of that dark and kind of go in between. Maybe even grab some purple. I'm just going to do small sections here. I'll kind of just do this upper corner here. Okay, and then I'm going to use this brush here and just smush it around. And if I have my paint thick enough on here, it's going to just lightly blend. It's all got to be wet though. If you have any areas that are dry, it's just not going to work. So just keep that in mind. I can go back in while it's still wet here. Add a little bit more of that brighter cobalt teal. I might even add a little white to it. Let's bring some of it down here. I'm not going to worry too much about my leaf area. I'm just going to go up next to it, but not really worry about trying to blend it in yet, because that area is going to get a lot of the, the areas around our leaves are going to have those kind of ripples. So we're going to do those a little bit differently anyways, so they don't have to be blended in as part of this background. Okay, so this is starting to get kind of sticky over here. I'm going to spray it.
And we had a question.
You want to make sure that you're using a very thin, like a very low, fine mist spray. So otherwise, you'll make little water droplets all over your painting. You don't want that. Yes. What's the question?
I wanted to know: is zinc white brighter than titanium?
No, it's transparent. So that's why I was using it on here, just because it's a little bit softer effect, a little bit more muted. It works well in water. Okay, just wiped off the excess paint off of my brush. Okay, I am going to take a wet paper towel and just dab off that dark area that I got on my leaf there. Yeah, I like that. It's looking closer to where I want it to. It might be a little bit purple, so I might not have added quite as much purple as I did. And I'm going to go through and kind of just smush in some this darker color, this teal, phthalo blue, phthalo green, and burnt sienna. Okay, let's kind of keep it going on up here. This is the area that's kind of the most, got the most sort of highlighted effect going on the water. So I'm going to leave this and I'm going to come back to it and with my fuzzier brushes, my stiff bristle brushes, and add some of that to it. later. Just getting some of the glazing liquid a little bit thinner. Let's go and just put that color all up in here. This area is not nearly as much going on. It's a little bit darker, but there is a little bit of area with that teal. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that Zinc White and use that in here. It kind of comes off that end of that. Does a reflection right there, and then there's another one kind of right in here. Now this area is going to start to be drying, so I'm not going to go up into there anymore. I'm just going to now do a new area. And we'll see if this brush, you just want to keep it damp, like you don't want to get it too wet. It's just, it won't work if this brush gets too wet. So every now and then just wipe it off on your paper towel. But you don't really have to clean it out. There we go. Not unless you're like, you know, if I was doing it over on top of yellow or something like that, I would. But since I'm using the same colors over here, I don't have to worry about cleaning it out. It's not going to need it. Go side to side, kind of like those ripples do. Bring that Zinc White around. Right there. A little bit. See how we're kind of just sort of setting it up. We're going to add brighter color later, but I'm just sort of setting it up for those ripples. Going ahead and putting a little bit of that lighter color over the top of that dark. It's working out pretty good. Oh yeah, I wish I'd gone a little bit more teal on that, but I can add more teal later to it. So let's go ahead and put some of that up here. Grab that phthalo blue mixture. Now this second layer is going to cover most of what we've done already. But if we put it on fairly thin, we can, like, so over here I kind of went thicker, but over here I'm going to go a little bit thinner so I can see some of that, those leaves a little bit better, because this area in my water is more clear. I'm able to see through it a little bit, so I want that blue, but not, it doesn't have to be quite as bright. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit more of the burnt sienna to it in here. Since you're seeing that brown through, it's actually kind of more brown in this area. Adding that glazing liquid to keep it thin and transparent. And I'm going to use a little bit of the Zinc White with that glazing liquid. That should be dry. And I'm just going to go over that leaf a little bit. And while that's wet, I'm going to smush that paint around a little bit. Might have put too much paint on there. I can't see that leaf anymore. So I'm just going to tap some of it off with a wet paper towel there. There we go. Okay. What are you laughing at?
That art term, smush.
Smush it. Use some of the... Now what's happening right here is that that color that I had on earlier, right here, was not dry when I did this layer over the top. And so it is lifting a little bit, that original layer. So I just have to be careful. Using a little bit more of that greenish yellow here. All right. Burnt umber. burnt sienna, I mean, with my phthalos. Phthalo blue, phthalo green. Just going to go ahead and tap that on. In this area, grab a little bit of that purpley blue. So there's some darker areas in here. Purple and ultramarine. I'm getting as close as I can to these leaves without actually touching them. Okay, and then I'm going to grab that Zinc White and Cobalt Teal. Now the Cobalt Teal is an opaque color, so you kind of lose the effect of the Zinc White a little bit when you're using it, but the Zinc White is still a little bit softer look than if I used a titanium white, so just kind of lightly, very lightly, just dusting this over and smushing that paint around to blend it. Give it a soft look.
Okay, somebody said that they liked the first background. Why are you painting over it?
You can leave it if you want it. Yeah, it's up to you. I'm painting over it just because I see, all these reflections in the water. It didn't have any of the reflections. None of this had any reflections. Plus, it was showing a lot of the background of the canvas through. So, but yeah, you're welcome to do it however you want to. I mean, it needed a second coat one way or another. I could have just done a second coat of it, basically the same as I did before, and that would have been another way of doing it. So, and I can add a little bit of this yellow back in the places to indicate some of those leaves. Basically, you're just trying to get it to have a little bit of movement. Look like some stuff's going on under the water there. Having some dark and light areas in there. We'll just do that trick.
So it'll be about this point of the show should we talk about your Patreon and traceables and all this stuff?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned the traceables a little bit already, but yeah, we can talk about it.
Talk about now that everything's been smooth and mellow for a while, back to normal.
Yeah.
So there it is, patreon.com/AngelaFineArt.
We're going to be painting, I've got my new schedule out, so you can see what we're going to be painting next month for our bonus videos. We're going to be doing a lantern, which I'm really excited about, Christmas. I'm going to start on Christmas a little early. So that'll be our bonus video, and then the $10 group, we're going to do a parrot conure. I'm not sure how you say them, but... sun conure and with a sunflower. So it's going to be really pretty.
So now that the month is just started, you sign up now, you get the whole month.
Yes. Yep. Now's a good time to start. You get a full month. It also, you can see the bonus video from last month. Let me grab it real quick.
The one you did in your
this is the $10 level. I don't have the $5 level one. So this was the $10 level one we just finished. That was 4 weeks. I can't remember how many weeks we took. I think 5. It was the Autumn Bridge for the $5 level. So whenever you sign up, you get access to all the older videos too. That's why I'm showing it.
This one?
Yeah, that was the $5 level. So we did that one last month. And then this month we're doing a Christmas lantern with pine cones and Christmas ornaments and snow. It'll be really nice. Candles.
And like she said, you get access to everything back to February 2017.
Right.
So peruse.
Right.
Download traceables.
Lots of different ones we've done. And we take our time in those ones. We do more complicated ones in the, so if you're kind of have done, you know, some of the basic videos and have decided, you know, you want to take it to the next level and do some more challenging paintings, those are the ones that we do in the Facebook or the Patreon folks. With the Patreon folks, do a little bit more challenging stuff in there with them. All right, so I had that kind of greenish, I think I had yellow in my brush there. So I like this color that I did. I don't know exactly how I got to it. I think I was just adding some of that yellow to my teal here, and then a little bit of the cobalt teal, a little bit of white, and then glazing liquid here. And I'm going to use this over in here to create those ripples in my water. And they're a little bit more subtle on this side. This side is a little bit brighter, but this side has got kind of more of a greenish look. I'm just going to kind of do like that, and then I'm going to see if this, I don't know if that background is too dry. Yeah, it's not one to smush around much. Okay, leave it. We can add some of the darker color later. Have to add some of this color over here. Oops, got a hair in there. I can get that out. That was my hair, not the brush. It's not the brush's fault. That was all me. Okay. So adding some of the lighter color on top here. This is, you know, asking about the, you know, the background too. This is what gives your painting a little more depth, is if you do these, you know, multiple layers, you're going to be able to see the previous layers through, unless you're using, you know, a really opaque color. We'll be able to see all the layers through. You know, maybe not super bright, but it creates a lot more depth to your painting if you'll do these layers the way I'm doing here. It makes your paintings look a lot more professional, a lot more finished. So, especially with acrylic paintings, because it doesn't have the vibrancy of oil paints. It's not as much pigment load, so you kind of have to, well, you know, even the best oil paintings have that layering of glazes over the top, and then you get the real depth of color that way. So I'm using this color and using that glazing liquid and just going over the top of that dark. And because this is a light color over the dark, it's going to look kind of hazy and softer than if we did the dark over the light. So it's just gonna look like water. It's already kind of looking like water, I think, right? A little bit. At least it is from my perspective here. I'm gonna use a little bit of that white. This is titanium white. I'm just using it because my zinc white's gone. I'll put some more out, but I'm just going to put a little bit of that on in a couple places. And I'm just putting it on really wispy, like lightly, using a lot of that glazing liquid. And that way, that glazing liquid kind of gives me softer edges. And also using this Filbert brush with the rounded edge will give kind of a softer look too. So there's going to be all these little areas in the water that are kind of sticking up, little leaves and rocks and things. So I'm going to just kind of dab where those are going to go. And then we'll kind of put more detail to them later. bit more of that there, a little bit in here. And I'm really just kind of moving my brush around, using that edge to get me kind of different. I still have that hair right there hanging on. I don't think I ever got rid of it. It's just been tagging along for the ride. You can get all kinds of different, let me just show you on here. You get all kinds of different shapes with this brush just by using it differently. So if I kind of use the edge, if I use the flat edge, I'm going to get kind of a more rounded look there. And what I'm doing is when I want to do kind of a circular type of motion, I'm just kind of doing 1, 2, 3 to kind of fill it in. But then I'm using the corner of it to do sort of straighter lines, and then smushing it around in different, just kind of tapping it and turning it from side to side as I do. And you can see how I get all these kind of smushy, watery like shapes. That's what I'm doing with the brush. I'm just tapping it very lightly and letting it skip around on the canvas and creating all these kind of watery serpentine shapes. And the Filbert does a really good job of it. You could use a round brush too. On a square brush, you get a little bit harsher angles, so you wouldn't have these little rounded tips. You can see how kind of like where I put the brush down, it's kind of rounded to start with. So if you have a round brush, you can get that look too. But like if I was to use a square brush or the angle brush, I would have to, you could do the same thing with the angle brush, but I would get, you see how much more pointy that is? So to avoid the point, I would just turn my brush upside down, and then it's going to have a little rounded tip. So if I'm using the angle brush, I can still kind of get these sort of same shapes. This brush is a lot smaller than that one, obviously, so I'm getting smaller shapes, but you get the idea. So I can get dots with the angle brush. I just have to point it straight down at the canvas, upside down. If I do it this way, I'm going to get lines. Okay, all right. So I would practice on paper and just kind of see what shapes you're getting out of your brushes. You know, practice them in different directions, upside down, different, all different ways. And you don't have to have a ton of different brushes. I use, those angle brushes for almost every painting because they're just very versatile. And I like the Filberts the same way. They're pretty. I kind of like them a little bit better than the flat brushes for a lot of detail work, just because they are a little bit softer looking for blending and things like that. So, and when I need to get in and to get some sharp details, I grab the angle brush for that. So, all right, I'm pretty happy with that background. We're definitely going to add more, highlights and things to it, but for now, I'm just going to let that set and let's work on our leaves. And I'm going to grab some more of that yellow. I'm going to spray my canvas down, my thing down here. And before I go too much farther, I'm going to go ahead and scrape off that extra paint so I have a clean spot to work on. All this is drying anyways, so I won't be able to layer over the top of it at all anyways. Let's go ahead and just take off that whole area where that zinc white was, and I'll just add some more to it. Ooh. Okay. If I can find a clean, there we go. I'm just going to keep these brushes wet before I I can't clean them out right this second, so I don't want them to dry out with the paint in them. Get as much paint out as you can, and then make sure that after you paint, if you've got to be somewhere, give yourself about 10 minutes to clean your brushes out, because that's how long it's going to take to do a good job of it. Don't rush that process, because those brushes are too expensive to damage. You can damage them really easily by not cleaning them out properly. I got some brand new ones to work with. They look nice and pretty. They're so pretty. No fuzzy edges. And I got some new ones from Princeton too that I'm going to try out coming up here. They're the Aspen line. So they sent me these ones. I'm excited to try them. It comes in a set. So they're a little bit stiffer bristles than the 8100 or 6100 series that I use normally. So they'll be a little bit better for sort of impasto work, a little bit more, thicker paint moving around. I have straight hair there.
So are you hinting to everybody that you're going to be coming out with your own line of brushes made from your own hair?
Is that no?
I think you're dropping too many hints towards that.
No.
Oh, is this another brush with my hair in it?
Pretty sure that's not going to happen. Although I do shed enough for that to be a possibility. Probably.
Maybe we'll have a line with my beard hair in it.
Gross. Stop. No.
But on a serious note, though, somebody's asked, what kind of palette are you using? And in her Amazon store, the link down below, just hit show more and click the Amazon link and go into the art section.
Acrylic painting supplies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's the New Wave Posh Glass Artist Palette.
Yes.
And there's a link down there, and you can buy it through there, and it helps out the channel.
It does. Yeah.
No
with Christmas and Black Friday coming up, it's a good way to easily support our channel by just going through our link and buying. If you know you're going to be buying stuff on Amazon, go through our link there, and it percentage of your purchases go towards our channel. Just don't have to do anything. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Just kind of an extra little step. Yeah, kind of a nice way to support the channel without having to do anything special. I wish I could use it, because I use Amazon all the time. Wish I could support my own channel that way, but I can't. It's not allowed. It gets make money back on my purchases. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
But yeah, let the friends and family know.
Cinnamons. Cinnamon's got one. I should do. I forget to do that. I need to start going to her channel first. What were you saying? Sorry.
Well, you had just mentioned about the Christmas shopping and Black Friday and all that coming up, and you can let your friends, family, significant others know about the brush guys and the link there. Get some brushes in your stocking this year and other goodies. Better than a tie.
You trying to tell me something?
No, I don't want brushes personally.
Okay. All right, tie it is.
Okay.
Check. Okay, I'm trying to get these little. Oops, I didn't want to use that. I put out some zinc white there because I was out of it, but I didn't mean to do that. I'm just using white and titanium white here white and yellow here to get these little zigzaggy rough edges on my leaf here. Just kind of going over the edge of that dark. I don't know if you can see it. We're kind of far away, but it's kind of adding a little zigzag. I'm sure that's a better name for it than zigzag. I'm trying to think of what it's. the word I'm trying to think of, but ridges along the edges of our leaf. And it goes all the way down to the point, so that white's just helping it cover the blue. And then we can add more of the yellow back in. Because it's going to be more of a watery yellow. It's not going to be as vivid. And I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow oxide here and do the stem really carefully. Just kind of tap in that stem right there. Keep it very thin. Okay. And this stem you're not really seeing. I'm going to go ahead and kind of go out from here. They start right about here and they kind of start to angle out. There we go. It's working out. I keep my paints wet. They're going to dry out a little bit faster on me in the winter time. Air's drier. At least here it is. Maybe in Australia it's opposite. Probably. They're coming up on their summer. So, I'm trying to pick some projects too that can be adapted, because I know I do a lot of snow pictures and that doesn't always work for other parts of the world at Christmas time. So we're going to do some that should be able to be adapted fairly easily to non-snow type of years. More summery type of Christmas. Which is just, so foreign for sure, to think about it being summertime at Christmas. I'm sure.
Well, you grew up in Palm Springs. It was almost summer and Christmas.
It was. You're right. You're right. We went and visited our family there a few years back at Christmas, or right after Christmas. It was like January for my grandmother's funeral, and the relatives all came out. It was like 60. It was beautiful. We were all in short sleeves and shorts, and they came out in winter jackets. They were greeting us in the car. I was like, yeah, well, I guess for them this is their winter. It's like, it's about as cold as it gets. It was pretty funny. It just kind of like struck home to me, how different it is where we're living now.
So what style of painting are we calling this today?
I would say this is realism for sure. We're going for realism on this one. These aren't as fuzzy as I'm making them.
Is this real life? I think that video got me introduced to YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Probably. Most people probably. I know. It just never ceases to amaze me that the culture of YouTube, how many people we have, our own little friend groups that we create around different people that we enjoy watching, and because I was watching a thing today on Patreon talking about an artist, influencer that that has like, 6 million subscribers on YouTube. Never heard of her ever. Like it's just like if it's not your little niche of interest, you just don't know these people. But then you're like, what? How? Who are these people watching them? They obviously have a huge fan following. I can't believe I've never heard of them. But that's kind of how it is with internet, YouTube celebrities, they're not, unless you're watching them on YouTube, you're not really seeing them anywhere else. All right, so using I'm talking a lot about other things and not telling what I'm doing with my painting here. I need to stop. So this was the yellow, Indian yellow here, adding to the different yellows. And I'm just kind of trying to shape out this leaf. This one got kind of misshapen somehow. And then adding a little bit of that darker color in here, just starting to kind of add some tones of other colors into that one there. And then this one is pretty much ready, I think, for some of our reds to start going on. I really like how the water's turning out. Water is one of those things. Somebody asked me the other day if there's still things that I don't feel comfortable painting. And water is one of the things that I still like. It gives me a bit of a pause when I have to paint it, because I have to really think about it. I haven't painted it enough to feel real comfortable with it yet. So I'm always like, yes, when it comes out good. I'm as surprised as you are. Oh, goodness. And you gotta love trying to paint it live, too. Because it's like Mark can tell you beforehand, I was going, I'm not sure how I'm going to paint this. He's like, you're going to do fine. I'm like, well, I know. I just wish I had painted it ahead of time so I had a little idea of what it was going to do. But it's all working out. It's all part of the master plan. I can pretend like I knew what I was doing right from the beginning. Y'all are getting the real scoop. We're painting these. I'm painting these live, so
yep.
And I don't practice them ahead of time because I used to, but my arm doesn't allow me to do that anymore. So I'm using the reds here, both of the cadmium reds, and some of my glazing liquid here. I'm just kind of starting to lightly glaze over here. But yeah, I've painted for 30 years, so I do have some experience. But there's things that I just haven't painted as much as others, and so. I trust that I will figure it out, but sometimes figuring it out takes a lot longer if I don't do it right to begin with. If I sometimes I can make it harder for myself. So I'm always happy when it's kind of working out so that I don't have to go back in and fiddle with stuff later. Be fussing with it. I'm gonna just do the center things. This brush has given me a nice thin, since it's a brand new brush, it's got a nice fine line on it. So I'm just gonna use it for instead of my liner brushes. I'm just gonna use it. Oops, that one was supposed to go like that. Here we go. Just fix that. Catch it while that paint's wet, it'll come right off. And then I did it the opposite way. Okay, let's do this again. There we go. And I'm going to switch the liner brush for the rest of it, though. I don't want to try to paint the whole thing in with that. And I'm going to use the Quinacridone Magenta, a little bit of white, and do the stem. not sure why I did it that way. I thought I saw the curve under there, but it's going this way. Really didn't matter, I guess, but I thought that was the line of it, but it's not. All right, there we go. And then we're going to get some yellow. Just use it right on the tip of my brush here and paint in that tip of that leaf stem with the yellow. Okay. Let's go ahead and use this red on here. This one goes under the water right there, underneath that one. Some glazing liquid. Now cadmium reds aren't great to glaze with. Glazing technically, it works better if you're using a transparent color, because really you should be able to see through it completely. And so using an opaque color doesn't give as pretty of a glaze, but I'm using cadmiums today. So if you wanted to use a transparent red, that would probably be even prettier. A Quinacridone Magenta is transparent, so it'll give a really pretty glaze for this if you used it on its own. But it's working though. We're still being able to see that yellow tone underneath. That's the main thing we want. And just making sure that, like, these edges right here, that I don't leave any of that to dry. So I'm just kind of wiping that clear so that, use your paper towel there, and just get some clean glaze, and you can kind of just brush off the end there, smush it out so that it's not got any harsh edges to it. I want it to be softly blended. It's looking good. So over here we can use a little bit of the quinacridone. You can see the difference over here. I use it on this side. It's actually really pretty over the top of this because it's turning to orange. It's so transparent. It's kind of turning red on its own. Just very, very little paint. You don't need a lot when you're glazing. A little bit of paint on there. And if you get too much on, you can just take your wet paper towel and just dab it off. Since this leaf is a little bit kind of mottled, you can get away with doing this. It doesn't have to be super smooth. It can kind of have a little texture to it. So just tapping over it will kind of lift a little bit of that color and give it a little texture. I can even use my stippler here. This is the Willow's blender. I can add a little bit of texture with that because these leaves have a lot of like little freckles and things in there, so this brush will give it effect. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on going around here. Go ahead and use that Quinacridone Magenta again over on this side. Maybe a little bit of the Cadmium Red Medium. And then before that dries, I want to get a little bit of glazing liquid and just kind of pull it out and kind kind of soften that outside edge. And if you really, it's kind of tricky, this technique. So just go slow. If you really, make a mess of it and you're, doesn't look the way you want it to, you can always go back in and add more yellow. Or like here in this case, I'm going to add a little bit of white to my yellow because I got this little point sticking out right here. So, and that yellow, that little bit of a white will cover over, so if you've got any areas in here that you didn't get really smoothly blended the way you wanted it to look, you can always go back in later and add more of that yellow back over the top. Cadmium Red Medium here. The Cadmium Red Light's just got a lot more orangey tone in it. I like it for this. And I can use the Cadmium Orange too. I forget. I've got it over there. I need to grab it.
Yeah.
It's being left out.
It has hopes and dreams too, It got put out, it sees all the other colors being used and it feels so like, what did I do wrong?
Let's grab it. Let's use it right now.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. Very subtle looking. I'm going to use a little bit of the white with the... Actually, let's get the yellow. Cadmium yellow. White. Titanium white here. Go over these tips again. Come on. I don't want them to look transparent. Okay, let me go a little bit smaller with this next one. So this one over here, I'm going to go ahead and use some of that yellow in there. Is that your stomach?
Mm-hmm.
Growling?
Yes.
Mark got a bear in his tummy tonight. All right. Is Catherine in here today? No, they got the door open. She's, for some reason, she's not messing with us today. It's so weird. The other day, she was just meowing through the whole entire show. Would not stop. I'm getting some cadmium yellow medium here, or light, I mean, here. Using it. And really kind of using it fairly thickly and just kind of tapping over the top here and adding some highlights back in. And I haven't added my separations yet on here. So when we do that, we might add a little bit more of this, but we'll see. Now that this stem is dry, I'm going to get a little bit more of the Cadmium Red Light and Cadmium Red. Well, it's actually really kind of Quinacridone Magenta and Cadmium Red. It's kind of a pinkish red. There we go. And then I'm going to grab some white. Maybe a little bit of yellow. And go along that middle of it and try to catch the very middle of it and put the highlight down the middle. It actually kind of gets darker right around here, so I can... Got a little bit too thick there. There we go. What you doing?
Looking to see where she's at. I don't know where she is.
Have you not seen her today?
Yeah, oh no, I've seen her today.
She's in Spencer's room, maybe.
She was sleeping on my legs while I was playing video games earlier.
Ah, okay. Getting a little bit of... There's like a little hub right here, almost. A little white dot. A little red dot with a little bit of yellow in the middle. There we go. Kind of subtle, so I don't want it so obvious there. This one's kind of squared off here. Okay, I feel like that stem needs a little bit more work still. That this brush is a little too big for it. So we'll just work on our red leaf over there and come back to it. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of purple to my Quinacridone Magenta and Cadmium Red. We'll make a burgundy color. I'm going to use that on the tip of this one. Getting really dark. And I think I'm going to use that color with this stippler and just stipple some of this color in over here. It's pretty light. It's not all that obvious, and it's really kind of freckles. This leaf doesn't have as much detail in it in general as this one does. So it's pretty much, we've pretty much done almost all we're going to do on this one. Just kind of stippling a little bit of this, and then let's get some of this reddish orange color and stipple some of that as well. Just make sure it's got good coverage of the reds. Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, let's use this color a little bit on here. Get a little bit of that. Mix it with a little bit of the red. It's a little bit dark for this one over here, but I do want some of that darker tone in here. Oh. Get a little bit of that glazing liquid with my Cadmium Red Light here. Just going to kind of go over some of this with that.
Got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Some they'd like to know what could they use instead of cobalt teal.
You can create that color with, you can mix it with phthalo blue and phthalo green in equal parts with white. It's not cobalt teal, it's basically just teal. The color that Golden had called teal. But it's pretty much pretty similar. Close enough. Okay, adding a little bit of the white there. Still having trouble getting these outer edges to be crisp enough. All right. Let's go ahead and get our little smaller brushes out. Start putting in some of our leaf details with those. And I'm going to go around in the water first and finish the water around the leaves. So I'm going to get the Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue here. Kind of mix those together, get a little bit of the burnt sienna. That'll make them teal. And a little tiny bit of purple. So it's really dark around and I even can go a little bit of burnt umber. It's really dark around the outside of these leaves, so it's kind of shadowed. So I'm going to go ahead and really kind of define these. With this brush. And I'm going to leave a little bit of it lighter, where I'm going to put the lighter color, but there's areas in here that are pretty dark. Okay, and then I'm going to use that angle brush and just kind of pull out some of that color. So it's maybe go around this leaf here that's under the water with some of that glaze. So this is transparent, it's not that I'm doing with this angle brush. I've got kind of a thin amount of paint on here. So I'm just using it to kind of spread that color out so it's not just in one place here. Let's go ahead and use it around this leaf here.
That leaf's like, hey, wait up for me, guys. All the other leaves are holding hands.
You need to go get yourself a snack then. Your tummy's growling really loudly.
Making some noises there.
I know it is.
Go get some leftover Halloween candy.
Yeah. We do have a few. Not as much as last year. Did better this year.
Well, I think because we ate more of it before Halloween.
True. That could have been part of it. So just using this blue and kind of defining that outer border of these leaf here. And if any, I don't want it like a round circle around it. So if you're seeing any of that, that's when you grab this brush and just kind of pull some of that out. So I'm going to do a little bit of darker shadows around the outside of this leaf though. It's got some shadowing happening. I should have mixed up a lot more of this. So where I've got my things sticking out of the water here, I've got this dark area around them. And honestly, I could do this a little bit less defined if you want to. You could use a mop or something to kind of soften that up a little bit. But kind of have to have that dark and the light both to get that contrast that we're looking for. Make it look like things are sticking up under the water. Okay. A little bit more of that phthalo, a bit more of that purple, burnt umber, or burnt sienna, I mean. Yeah, burnt umber. Blues. This is working pretty good here. Mark did go get candy. I can hear him. Opening wrappers.
Are you done yet?
You got some candy to hold you over there?
Mm-hmm. And if I cashmere.
You found Camber. Where was she?
In our room.
Our new bedroom?
Our
Temporary
current room.
one? Uh-huh. Sleeping on the bed, I'm sure. Where she's not supposed to be. She's taking advantage of us being distracted. So it's the reason I don't like cat hair in my pillows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's so weird like that. Okay. And then it's actually okay if there is a little bit of a rim on here, because there is, a little bit of a shadow underneath these, so they don't have to be completely, blended out, but you don't want it kind of like a line there, I don't think, so I'm just going to pull them out a little bit. This will help settle these and make them look not so. Not so much like they're floating on top of the canvas. Settle them. And then there is kind of a dark line. See if I can get some of that burgundy. There's like a dark line right here where this one overlaps that one. My stomach's starting to growl. It's like sympathy growling. It's hearing yours growl. It's like mine needs to growl too. It's like, hey, I think I'm hungry too.
Hey, I like some candy.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
some
He's getting
chocolate.
candy over there. What?
The squeaky wheel gets the grease. The growly tummy gets the food.
Mm-hmm. Pipe down.
Maybe we have to go out for dinner tonight.
Okay. Where to?
Pasta grill?
Ooh. I like that.
Date night?
I like it. That's right. We have a date night. We should go to the movies too. It's been forever since we've gone to the movies.
All right. I'll see what's playing.
Good. Alright, so just using this purpley blue combo color, really dark. Around my leaves here, and I'm going to be adding those white highlights to this, so don't you worry. It's going to take me a second to get around all of these because I didn't paint them in before, so they're pretty light. Might need a couple coats actually. And I probably need to redo the tips of these leaves too to get them to stick out a little bit more. Using that brush just to pull out those edges. Looking good though.
Okay, you ready for the movie listing?
Sure.
The Addams Family.
No.
Gemini Man.
Don't know what that is.
That's the Will Smith movie where he's being hunted by a younger self.
Oh, okay.
Joker.
No, I've heard that's not any good.
Maleficent.
Oh, yeah.
Mistress of Evil.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry.
I like the first one.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Nope. Big fat nope on that one.
Zombieland.
Oh, Zombieland 2.
Mm-hmm.
I want to watch the first one again before I watch that.
Arctic Dogs. It's a cartoon.
No.
Black and Blue.
Don't know what that is.
Countdown.
Don't know what that is either.
Harriet.
Don't know that one.
And Terminator. Dark
No.
Fate.
All right, so maybe we're renting.
We're microwaving some popcorn and
Yeah. Got the candy already, so might as well, right?
putting on the comfy pants, and
Exactly.
it sounds
Then
more
you don't
fun.
have to deal with people kicking your chair or talking. almost done here. I missed out on Downton Abbey. I know. I know you're sad about that. I can't wait for the house to be finished because I'm going to have a movie night with my girlfriends because one of them hasn't seen that Guernsey Potato Peel Pie Society, Literary Potato Peel Pie Society movie from Netflix. So I'm going to watch that for the umpteenth time.
Sounds like I need a business trip.
Yeah, we're going to be like, don't come in here.
All right, I guess I'll go to Paris. When
No,
are you doing
it's
this?
okay. It's all right. Okay, so got those all done. Looking good. I think I'm going to use a little bit bigger brush now, the number 4 round. I am using all these brushes. It's kind of interesting. But I think I want the round for these. Oh, and I wanted to cover this up a little bit more right here. Some more phthalo blue. Oh, now she's like, you were looking for me? Here I am, Father. Father. She is such a flirt. Okay. What is she doing? She's trying to talk you into letting her up on your lap. Okay, so we're going to start kind of working on these ripples here. This one has got really the only one that's got a large ripple. So I'm going to go around it here. And there's some smaller ripples. Like that. And then right up close there's a lot of little bitty ripples. We'll need we'll put in some highlights for those. So here we've got some ripples coming around here. So I'm going to go over the top of what we've already done. We already kind of filled in around. Actually, I didn't do this one. How much time have we been? Oh, we've been at this 2 hours already. Okay. I figured this would be a longer one.
With about a 5-minute intermission in there at the beginning.
That's true. Oh, she's just jumped up there. Okay, gonna use a little bit more glazing liquid for over here. It's not quite as dark. I can hear her purring. She's so happy. Mark let her up on his lap. Okay, Little bitty ripples in this water here. And this is much more calm over here, so this is kind of the more stable area. It's not got as many ripples, but there are a few around this little deal right there. Okay. Now, I can use this color and my Zinc White. And lots of Zinc White. Tinting it with the same color that we used for the shadow. Really roll that brush to a point so you get a nice point on it. You can use a smaller brush if this one is not getting you small enough. I will see. I may need to do a smaller brush. I got hair or something in there. Okay. So a little wiggle, wiggle. I think we're gonna probably want some almost white in here. So I'm gonna get a little bit of titanium white. And add a little bit of that. Just in a few places. Oops.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's good that it's zoomed in. Just need to let me know if I do that again. Which I probably will. Knowing me.
I'll watch you live.
Thank you. There we go. Okay. Really, this is kind of the water tension we're seeing. It's not necessarily ripples, it's just we're seeing that kind of displacement on the water. That kind of bubble that forms around the outside of it. Something sitting on it. So it's just basically kind of outlining these leaves with this color, kind of leaving a little bit of open spots here and there, but kind of, and some areas are a little bit brighter than others. You can go back through with more of a white. A little bit of white here, just kind of going back over. I'm going to get a little bit of that cadmium yellow and cadmium red light there. And if I can get the tips on some of these to be a little bit more prominent. Brush is just not small enough for that, so we'll come back to it. A little bit of a ring right there. It's pretty. I like it. Some of them are a little bit more faint than others. And these ones are kind of going into this area over here. I'm going to use a little bit more of the glazing liquid. Maybe a little bit more of the darker color. It's not quite as bright. And put in these little ripples. We've already kind of got the start of it, so you probably don't have to do a whole lot to this, but some of these might need a little extra.
Are there veins in the orange leaf?
Yeah, I'm going to be adding the veins. I haven't done that yet. All of the veins haven't been done yet. That'll be the last thing I do here. What?
You said funny.
What did I say?
That's going to be the last thing you do on there. We know that's not true.
Okay. All right. I'll show you. You'll see. And then this red leaf actually has it coming over the top of it, but it's going to be more whitish on it. It's kind of going underwater in some places here. And then all that's underwater, I think. And you're seeing it again right here, kind of coming up over. More glazing liquid. Okay, let's use it up in here. And just going ahead and coming in here with this brighter white to add highlights to my areas that are up out of the water there. And we don't have to define these really, carefully. Just kind of indicate a few little highlights, and then your eye will kind of fill in the rest of it's some sort of disturbance in the water there. Rounded areas. Okay. Let's put in our cashmere.
Just gonna walk across.
I know. Come here. And you know we want it. Come on over here. Come on over. Come here. She's like, but you never let me over there, Mama. Come here. I know. Come here. Trying to get her on camera here.
Sure.
Come here, Cassie. Here you go. Come on. You can zoom out a little bit. She's trying to rub on my brushes here. Come here.
Get out of my side cam, cat.
She's rubbing on my lamp. Oh, there we go. It's a good shot from Teal. Oh, sorry. We're playing now. I'm getting tired.
Back to the painting.
Back to the painting. Okay. All right, baby girl. All right, I think I'm going to use my shorter liner. It'll give me a little bit more control. I love how this is looking. Super fun. I'm going to go ahead and use this one just to add a little bit of this Zinc White and Teal, the color that we were using over here. I'm going to use it with my glazing liquid, and this is the round blender, and I'm just going to use it in a few areas over here. Just to add some like dappled sunlight on my water. This is dry brushing, so I'm kind of putting it in. But because it's got that glazing liquid, it's a little softer than dry brushing, so it's not gonna have as much texture. I kind of want to rub out most of the texture. I don't want to see the brush texture. I just want to see the kind of color. now for the 18-aught liner here. And I do see one more thing that I want to do real quick. Right here, there's some little smaller lines right there that I wanted to get in. Okay. Let's see. Our color, let's just use the Cadmium Red Medium and Light here. Use a little bit of that glazing liquid. We're going to need a lot of water for a liner brush, so you have to add a little glazing liquid to make it stick. But it's got to be very thin, kind of like a ink consistency. You should be able to, when you go side to side, you should be able to see that palette through it really easily. And it should flow off the brush. Okay, might be a little bit darker. Get a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta here. Okay, so I'm going to keep them very, very thin. I don't want super thick lines, so using this very fine brush will help keep my lines thin. And I'm holding it pretty close to the end, but I'm working pretty quickly when I paint. I'm not trying to be super outliney, if that makes sense, if that's even a word. Like you can put your outlines on there, but I much prefer just kind of winging it when I'm lining, because otherwise my lines seem forced. They seem a little bit too thick or whatever. They just don't look organic. So I find when I'm lining that it's better just to kind of go fairly quickly with it and hold my brush really close to the end so I can use it almost like a pencil. Really, if you don't like this, you could even use a pencil, and I have used a pencil before with acrylic. It'll go right over the top of it just fine. So you could use a colored pencil or something. Now it'll be a different texture, it'll be a different colored pencil, usually wax based or something like that. So it might be harder to paint over the top, so I would do it as your final coat. But it should just be just fine. It's just in mixed media. And varnish it like normal and it'll stick just fine.
What size liner brush are you using?
This is 18-aught. It gives me really fine lines. All right, and then I can use the yellow, Cadmium Yellow Light here. Mix a little bit of that with it and use it for over here. And maybe a little bit more red in there. There we go. And these are pretty faint, so you don't have to put these in super dark. Like just a little small indication is all you need. This one up here is more red and it's darker, I think. So go a little bit darker with these ones. And then I never did kind of stipple on here, so I need to stipple these leaves with a little bit of color. So I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow and red together. And just stipple a little bit of color. Yeah, that's too dark. So let's get a little bit of white. Really, just more yellow is all I needed, probably. There we go. This will also kind of help soften up those the leaf details. So I'm going to use a little bit of the red here. And I'm going to go ahead and use we'll see, I don't know, this may be a mistake, we'll see if I can control it enough. Because I don't want to get it all over my water. What?
This may be a mistake.
You never know. I'm going to use the red here. And my fan brush, and I'm gonna
Micro splatters.
just right there on my leaves.
Man, what control on those
And then
splatters.
just dab off that water.
That's like a pro.
Okay, just hold it right above where you want it. There we go. You gotta have the speckling. And I mean, unless you want to paint them in individually. I find that when I try to paint dots in individually, they just never look as natural as this kind of splattering that we're doing. It just never quite looks as normal. And really, I could have I'm probably smarter just to cover all of my canvas that I don't want to get splattered with paper towel. And I'm going to leave it just for a second and then blot. And blot just a few of them, not all of them, but that'll kind of soften the effect too, so it's not so obvious. So let's do it over here too. And here, we'll cover the parts we don't want covered with splatters.
You're going to cover the parts you don't want to cover?
Right.
Splatters.
Coming off my brush. There we go. Okay. So while it's wet, wipe all of that off that I don't want. Get it quickly before it dries. And make sure your background's dry before you do this so you don't lift off your background. That would be bad. Okay. Okay, so it's been a few seconds. I'm just going to dab off. You could use browns too. Browns would be pretty. Whatever colors you wanted to use on here. It's nice. Alrighty. I'm going to use brush again and do some lines on this one. And then we'll be done. I'm going to use the little bit of purple since this is kind of a darker leaf in general. And I should have done this before I did my water. Now that I'm looking at it. So don't go over the top of your water with this lines, obviously. This would be underneath. So do this first. I did not even think about it. This one doesn't have as much detail though, so it's not like this one where the whole thing is covered with what's happening. Oh, it's dark. Okay. Uh-oh. All right, well, I'm pretty well done for the most part. Have we lost it?
It's buffering.
Got a big old thing of paint on the end of my brush. So I'm going to use some of this yellow in a few places here. Let's brush that in. Just a little bit of the yellow with the red and painted these little tips of the leaves that are sticking out in the water here. Is it gone?
No.
Okay. Just adding just little final details here. Making sure all these little points of the leaf are not falling, disappearing under the water. There we go. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm fine. Sure it'll work.
Using the Zinc White here.
I can hit stop and start
Hmm?
again. I said I can try hit stop and start again.
No, I'm done. I'm pretty much done, so. Is it not showing though? It's not
It's
recording?
buffering. It's recording, but it's just buffering.
Okay. All right, I'm going to stop then, since we're losing our signal. I'm going to sign it, and we'll be done.